Hi, my name is Bradley Joshua. I'm a producer at Gambit Films. For me, the biggest thing is access, because I find that as a producer, like for example, if you have a film, and even if you have a good script, when you are in South Africa, it's still extremely difficult to get that financed. Whereas I can imagine in other parts of the world, if you take Los Angeles, for example, or New York, a qualified filmmaker with a good script stands a better chance of getting something financed quicker. With our first film, number 37, even with the best rebate system, one of the best rebate and incentive systems in the world, where we had the emerging black filmmakers rebate, where 50% of the budget was financed. We had Mnet on board. It still took us about 2.5 years to try and close the finance on that. Eventually, we couldn't, and we actually had to finance it ourselves. There are many other things, just being, for example, in Cape Town, where there's a major international service industry. So the skill and the talent that you want to work with, they have international level rates. And obviously when you're trying to do a film locally, you don't have international level budgets. So having to do service work of big Hollywood films and televisions, and then getting the same people to work for local producers on a much reduced rate. So, but then it leads us as producers to be more innovative, which I believe is good. Because we're more challenged, I think in that respect we are probably better than certain other places in the world. Well, first of all, as a producer, I look for commercial viability. Whether it is a film or whether it is a television series. Television series is a little bit easier, I would say, because television, in most cases, the way you're doing it is you're trying to lock down something that a broadcaster or a streamer is looking for. So essentially the brief would come from the broadcaster or the streamer, or the idea will come from the broadcaster or the streamer, or they will be saying, well, we're looking for this kind of content. So that's slightly easier. So it's just matching the desire or the need with the content. On the film side, definitely, we look at, in the first instance, commercial viability. So when we make this film for X amount of rand or X amount of dollars, can we sell it for more than that? Can we make our investors' money back? Can we make money for ourselves? And so for me, that's the first thing. The second thing is just, is it something that I want to make? The process is challenging and difficult and hard. And so therefore the content that you're doing must at least be enjoyable. It must at least be something that you are in love with in some way. So that for me is important. So yeah, commercial viability, and is it something that we want to do? And I think those two go together. We wouldn't necessarily do something that's only commercially viable if our heart is not in the content. We get a lot of these kinds of questions, or a lot of people. In fact, I got a Facebook message the other day from a childhood friend saying, "I've got a few ideas for movies. Are you interested?" If you just think about what the process is from idea to screen, it is such a lengthy process that takes so much skill. So the first thing I would say is a script. And a good script at that. If you've got an idea, the idea has to be converted into a script. And when the script is in a good state or in a good phase, then I think it's easier to shop around with producers, because then producer can see, when you're reading the script, you can see what is it about, what are the commercial points in the film, what are the strengths of the script. It's very difficult to do anything from an idea. So the first thing I would say is, you got to get a good script, and you got to take your time to do the script and do it well. Then the process from there is to find a producer that is if you were to come to Gambit Films or to myself, like I said, I would look at what is the viability or commercial viability of the story, of the script, of the film, and then look at what is the content, what is the genre, what is the story about. Is it an important story that must be told, or is it an action film that's just fun and exciting and entertaining? So the first point is script. The second point is finding a producer that can actually get the content financed, and that becomes easier when you have a good script. So I guess what I'm saying is a good script. First piece of advice is that we've all been there. I just read a story yesterday of the CEO of Will Packer Productions. And as I was reading that, I thought, sure, we were also there. He did his first movie in college as an engineering student with $20,000. We took every opportunity, entered every short film competition, whether there was money attached, whether there wasn't money attached. I remember having to convince one of my partners to do a very, very low budget TV movie. All have to start somewhere, and I think what we've learned as filmmakers and producers is that a great skill to acquire is to be able to do something with nothing, or to be able to do as much as possible with as little as you have. When you have a certain amount of money, you lean on favors, you call your friends, you call the people that studied with you, you find like-minded people that's trying to achieve something in the industry. I know for us, what we've always wanted to achieve was just to change the landscape of the type of content that we're making in South Africa. We're very clear about the fact that we do genre content, so the first film that we did was a thriller, and so we found like-minded people that were feeling the same way, that had a level of skill that came on board, and so you get people, your friends, to come on board for free and to buy into the concept and the belief of what you're trying to do. So the answer basically is you do everything that you possibly can. You go to people who you think won't help you. You go and you ask them for help. Out of every 10 times that you ask, at least one time someone says yes. And so it's really just putting your pride aside and be driven by the goal. If you believe that you've got something, that can work, and you've got something that people want to see, it's basically putting your pride aside, taking what you have, speaking to those that know you, speaking to those that love you. We used my mother's house so many times, so much so she'll never ever allow a film crew there ever again. So you take those opportunities, everything that you can get, and you make the most of it. Our first sort of, call it, big short film festival that we entered was Silver Scarum back in 2014 with the short film Nummer 37. And I remember the budget being at that time 150,000 Rand for a 24-minute film. The value at the end of the day that we got, just based on favors, on people that helped us, on where we approached people to give us equipment for free, the value at the end of the day was probably about R1 million that we got. But the budget that we had was 150,000. And that's just using everything that you have available to you and speaking to everyone that you think can help you and who think should help you, and not being afraid of a no, and just keeping on and just persevering. We don't know to what level of normality we will return, or is there definitely a new normal? We know that if you film right now, there's certain processes that one has to follow. We talk about social distancing and sanitizing as the two big things. So it's quite difficult, for example, when you're doing an action film, which we've just finished a few weeks ago, and so we've had to implement very stringent protocols. When you arrive on set, no one that's not supposed to be there is there. It's the screening, it's having a medic on set all the time, it's having a COVID team in place, and so obviously all of these things have budgetary implications, but I think if we're talking post-COVID, you're talking more structure, more control, be more organized for the safety of your people, because if it's still around, if we don't find a vaccine, if the virus still persists, in months and years to come, it can shut your set down, if one of your actors tests positive and so on. So for me, in a post-COVID world, it's being more organized, it's being more precise in terms of processes. It's following the rules, let's say, of COVID very, very strictly, and not compromising, and making sure that your people are safe on a daily basis. And if you've got those things, that's the most that you can do. And I think that's what people should be focusing on. What's the most that I can do to prevent an incident on set in relation to COVID?